Okay, I am back. I know you didn't expect me, but I am back with some bonus footage here. And what I'm doing is, one of the things that I say on limited resources and I say on these videos pretty often, it's advice that I give to players who are looking to get better, is to review your games. And I know it sounds obvious, but like people that have never done it or that don't do it very often, it's very eye-opening. You watch yourself, from afar, and it's very strange because you'll see that you make mistakes or that you miss things and you're like, why did I do that? Like, I know better and I did that anyway. And, cleaning up that aspect of your game is one way that you can really improve at a pretty nice clip, and it can just clean up a whole lot of things. Now, there's a problem with it. A lot of people aren't honest with themselves. It's hard to look at a mistake that you make and just take it. Now, I'm in the fortunate state that I do these videos every week and I get a bunch of comments and everybody will point out any mistake that I make. So I'm, you got to have a thick skin to do videos on the internet, but man, to yourself, like if you're just watching your own replay, you can lie to yourself pretty easy and just be like, it wasn't that big of a mistake or whatever. So what I find is useful is to bring in a friend. Now this should be somebody that you trust. It should be somebody whose Magic opinion you respect and who you know has something to offer. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to bring them in and just listen to everything that they say necessarily, as gospel. If you're lucky enough to be friends with somebody who's that good, then that's great. But for the most part, you're going to bring somebody in to give you different perspective and to keep you honest, to say, look, this was a mistake, not the end of the world, but this is a thing that you could use to clean up. And we are doing that here on the air today. And I've brought in my friend, Kenji Egashira. You may know him as Numot the Nummy. He does a lot of streaming, and he's on the line with us right now. Hey, Kenji.
Hey.
So, yeah, big streamer, hardcore moto guy, and I really respect your opinion a lot, Kenji, and I think this is going to be fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the games that I played today. Now, I've already taken a few minutes with Kenji to show him the deck. He knows all the contents of the deck, so I didn't want to go over that on camera. But so what we're going to do is we're just going to go through these games. I've got the recording that we just did, and we're going to get Kenji's take on some of the plays that I make and where I could improve, or if he disagrees or agrees with what I was doing. So you ready to dive in here, Kenji?
Let's do our duty bound
All right.
dead.
Duty bound dead, which is right here. Now we've got we're on the draw here, and this looked like a pretty sweet opener to me.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, you got the 1-drop, the 2-drop, and the 4-drop with all the mana that you need.
Yeah. So we keep this, and I assumed you'd agree with that, Kenji. And our opponent also keeps, I believe they keep their 7. Yeah, he's kept his 7. And they're going to lead off with a War Falcon here. Now, kind of scary, right? Like the decks that can really abuse this card, like can really put a beating on you, but a lot of times it just sits there and just blocks once or whatever. So we draw a Water Courser, but this doesn't change our early game. We're just going to play the Duty Bound Dead and say go.
Yep, still got the same plan. It gives us a 3-drop, to curve out better.
Right. Now he plays an island, so we know what colors we're up against, and there's a couple of cards that we don't want to see here. I remember during the video, I was scared of a Avon Squire, but as you'll see here...
Yeah, Knight of Glory is the worst, right?
There you go. Right on cue, Knight of Glory comes down and just bashes us for 3. He's got protection from
Yikes.
Like the better part of our deck.
Yeah.
And enables the War Falcon. Now, from our end, though, we draw a Tormented Soul, but none of these really change our line, right?
Oh, no. I mean, you're obviously not going to be the aggressor here after his 1-drop, 2-drop, and attacking for 3 on turn 2. That's insane.
Right. So we're just playing out our Void Stalker, and then do we have any attacks? We don't. I mean, he just has a pro black guy, so we shouldn't attack, right?
There's no reason not to, right? I mean, the Duty Bound Dead becomes a 1/3 when it attacks, and he
so
can't
just
block
bluff
anyway.
him, just like if he misclicks or just doesn't know,
Yeah, it's
or
a
just
free roll.
Yeah, that's actually true. So I guess I should have bashed in there for 1, because it's not like he's going to block. The Duty Bound Dead's not blocking anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that during the game. I just passed the turn back.
I mean, against a competent player, at a live event, sure, but
Yeah, I mean,
even then, right?
yeah, I still do it. Like free rolls, you just do. Cathedral of War is what he plays here, which is like it's kind of nice because he's not developing his board. Or he might be, but like he's not playing a 3-drop this turn. But at the same time, man, now this War Falcon is just a beater. And he does, in fact, send it in and hit us for 4.
Gee, 7 damage on turn 3.
Yeah, pretty decent. Okay, so he has a follow-up play with the Chronomaton, and then he just plays nothing. Now, there's just no spell in white that we really care about here, like Rain of Blades isn't a thing that we're worried about.
No.
So we have free reign on our turn to do whatever we want. So what is your plan? We've got a Watercourser, a Tormented Soul, or we can Void Stock.
Yeah, I think I'm certainly just void stocking here. We need to stop the bleeding because we know we can draw into cards like Mutilate or some other forms of removal. I think besides Mutilate, you don't really have a good answer to the Knight of Glory other than the Void Stalker that you have on the board right now.
Exactly.
And it's not like he's going to trade it away very quickly.
Right, and if we Void Stock away the Knight of Glory, then we effectively take the War Falcon out of play at least.
Turns off the Falcon.
Yeah, which is really important right now. I mean, that basically stems the bleeding. So I'm thinking about it right now, but I come to the same conclusion that I'm just going to pass the turn and then Void Stock his Knight of Glory. Now, what I'm thinking right now, and we're going to see what I end up doing here in a minute, is I'm going to let him go to begin of combat, and then I'm going to take out the Knight of Glory. That means that the War Falcon can't attack unless he plays something else that enables it, and but he can swing in with the Chronomaton if he wants, and it would only be 2 damage, because of the Cathedral Vor, but I'm certainly okay with that over taking like 4.
That means he's not pumping it as well, right? So
exactly. So let's see what happens here. He plays a land pre-combat, and then I think he goes to combat. I can't remember. I'm thinking right now.
Oh, you're talking in the video, I see.
I'm talking on the video, yeah. So he does go to combat. Now, this is where my plan is Void Stock his Knight of Glory, but I don't think, yeah. So I actually let him go to attackers. Yeah, and I just let him go to attackers here. Now, this is a mistake, right?
I think so. I think since he didn't play a soldier or anything, I would have gotten rid of the Knight of Glory since you're planning on getting rid of it anyway.
Yeah,
I'm giving him a free attack with the War Falcon.
He just gets to hit me with the Falcon, and he even gets the extra Exalted trigger, along with being able to attack. So I think that what happened is like when I got to this point, I was like, well, I'm going to wait and see what he attacks with, and then I'm going to take that out.
Ooh.
But that just doesn't make any sense because long term, the Knight of Glory is going to be a huge issue for my deck. Although I do have a Watercourser as a backup, so I didn't feel like super
that's
scared.
actually a consideration. Just
yeah.
Taking out the War Falcon when he attacks with it.
Yeah, he's got 3 cards in hand, and basically what I'm betting on there is that he doesn't have but basically I'm just hoping that my Watercourser sticks. If it doesn't stick, then I'm in trouble. Then you're
banking everything on the Watercourser as opposed to the guaranteed getting rid of it right now.
Right, and
Which is not true. I mean, you could have a summon,
and I think that it's like a respectable line because I do just take his attack step from him this turn, but I don't think it's the correct one. Do you agree with that? Like, don't you think just getting rid of the Knight is the correct play?
Oh, and that's what I would have done right here. Just get rid of the Knight.
Yeah, I think so too. So what I do instead is let him attack with his War Falcon, but he actually ends up bailing me out. I don't want to spoil it.
About the War Falcon.
He did. He pump faked it, but then he's like, I'm just going to attack with the Knight because he's like, look, he doesn't have any blocks. But now I end up making the play anyway, so it ended up being the same situation, but it was only because my opponent made a mistake, not because I made the right play. So, yeah, so it goes. I should have done this a step earlier, and I would have.
Well, now you should have done it a step later after blocks.
Right. So why would I do that? Like in case he gets rid of my Void Stalker or something?
Yeah, if he has like an unsummon or something.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, then that also leaves you susceptible to Divine Verdict. So you have to consider whether he has the Verdict or the unsummon. Because
I think I would rather play around Verdict myself. I just think that people tend to play that a little bit more.
Yeah.
The upside to it though is that if he does have Verdict and I block, then he uses up all of his mana for the turn. Because either of them gets the job done. Although unsummon, I don't care about as much, right? Like I take damage, but like I get to replay my Void Stalker. So,
yep, that's true.
All right, but anyway, he didn't have that, and so I got him. But interestingly, he post combat follows up with an Attended Knight and his accompanying soldier. Now, if he would have done that pre combat, he would have been in a really good spot because this War Falcon, like I think I don't want to get too far down this line, but I maybe would have needed to actually Void Stock the War Falcon at that point.
I agree. So no, that's not true because the oh wait, no, the Bloodhunter Bat wouldn't block it effectively since it would have been a 4/3, right?
Exactly. So anyway, let's not go too deep on that. But this turn, are you playing the Watercourser and the Tormented Soul, or just slamming Bloodhunter Bat? We haven't played a land yet.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely just slamming the Bloodhunter Bat because the War Falcon's turned back online, And now that he's missing that second Exalted trigger, it's just going to simply be a 3-2 on the offense.
Exactly. And I come to the same conclusion that you do.
And
also, this gives me a little bit of a cushion.
Any way you play that turn, even if you play the Courser and the Tormented Soul, he's still going to get a free roll attack with the Attended Knight, because you can't effectively block it in any case.
Exactly. So I was completely on board here. He ticks up his Chronometon, as it were, and he starts
scary,
to
but
evaluate.
you have the public execution for potential huge blowouts.
Yeah. Especially after he dumps a ton of mana into it, it's pretty nice to be able to execute it publicly. So... All right, so the game continues here. He tanks it out, and he does end up bashing with the Knight, which is what we expected.
Mm-hmm. And there's no real reason to chump here, since you're still at a pretty healthy amount of life.
Yeah, thanks to the Bloodhunter Bat, we gained a couple back. We were at 15 and a respectable life total. Now, what does he play here? This is important. He plays a Jam Daytome. Now, normally... I'm pretty excited when they do that, to be honest. Like, there's so many games where it's just like that card just does not do enough, and you're just like, sweet, I'll be the one beating you down while you do that. But here, like, he's in the driver's seat already, and he can just kind of start to reload later. So it's a little bit of a concern, but I got to say it's much better than a lot of other things he could have added to the board. Now we draw a Vampire Nighthawk. Just gonna slam it. Slam it.
Slam-a-whamma and play the Tormented Soul, since you're not doing anything else.
Yes.
I mean, it's either Soul and Courser, or Nighthawk and or Soul, right? So
yeah, and I definitely want to play the Nighthawk so that I can start gaining life and preventing him. But I, for some reason, decide I talk about it in the video, but I don't play Tormented Soul. And
are you feigning a trick here, or?
Yeah, so like I decide that after the fact, that I have after that I've got Essence Scatter or something. But I even said on the video like that wouldn't have been worth it anyway. Oh, darn it! So did you like this attack at all? I decided to bash because
I think this attack is okay, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. Right? Like he can't.
Like you need to start doing something, otherwise he's going to out-card advantage you. Right?
Exactly, and he doesn't have any attacks with the War Falcon. I mean, if he pacifies my Vampire Nighthawk, that's kind of a bummer, but that's happening either way.
No, he does have an attack with the War. Like if I were him, I'd attack back with the War Falcon next turn, because you're probably not going to block with the Nighthawk. But then you get a swing with the Nighthawk, which is going to gain 2 of it back, right?
Yeah, I actually meant I meant if I didn't.
I see.
Yeah, but anyway, so I do decide to attack, and he just takes it. So I feel pretty good about that, and this is where I realize I should have just played my Torment Soul. What am I doing? All right, so now
especially because if you draw a land next turn, you might want to think about holding up Execution, and that Tormented Soul is just free damage that you've missed.
Exactly. I mean, Execution or not, it's just free damage that I've missed, right?
Yeah. I guess.
All right, so he goes to attacks, and he bashes us here, and I don't think we have any blocks, so I just take it. You agree?
Still at okay mounts.
Yeah, we're at 9.
I mean, you have to think about sleep, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't play around sleep at this point, can I?
No.
Okay, so I have to think about it, but not in a way that actually affects the game. All right, now he tanks it out a little bit on his second, and
hopefully he just books here.
I think he just books, yeah, which is obviously ideal for us. Him just doing nothing for 2 turns is like pretty sweet, and he does book.
Nice. I mean, it's still not good for you.
No, but he binks a land.
Better things that can happen.
Yeah, so basically, again, he's representing nothing, and he's just going to, do his Chronometon. Now, we miss our land here, so public execution's not an option. So, what do you like here?
All right, let's see here. You're at 9, he's at 15.
Yes.
You need to beat him. Like, now that he's got the tome active, I think you need to start
turning some guys
before
sideways.
He can card advantage you out.
I think so too, because I think my plan at this time was to just start beating him down and then get a big public execution off to kind of blow him out. Now
I think I'm just attacking with both the flyers here.
Yeah, so that's the question, right? If we're going to be attacked,
drop.
Okay, because that's what I wanted to ask you. So are you attacking with both, or just the vampire?
I'm attacking with both here. If he trades for the bat, we're fine with that. We would have done that
anyway.
I think
you're okay with that, right? Yeah.
If he doesn't block, that means he's probably going to attack with the War Falcon, right? And if he's attacking with the War Falcon, it's either going to get in for 3, or it's going to get in for 2, plus he's attacking with something else, right? And the Chronometon right now is a 2/2.
It's a 2/2 right now. It's going to be a 3/3 when he untaps. But remember, we have Water Courser and Walking Corpse to play
and
post-combat.
I think that's the correct line of play if you're going to attack with both of your dudes.
Yeah. So I actually come to the same conclusion as you do and decide to bash with both. And I'm really missing that Tormented Soul because as the board stands, it's a 3-turn clock.
That's right.
With that. And if I would have had the Tormented Soul down like I should.
Well, now, especially, yeah, you're tapping out your mana here and not having the soul out again, right?
Exactly.
Ugh.
Yeah, it makes me just sick to my stomach, but...
All right, so is he blocking?
He does block.
Okay, so we're fine with that. I mean,
yeah, which I'm fine with. I mean, and it makes some sense as well because if he's going to have a hard time racing the Nighthawk, and he obviously has cards on us. He can just outcard us. So post combat, I just play the Walking Corpse and the Watercourser and pass turn back.
Yeah, I think that's a fine play.
Yeah.
Because even now, he won't be able to attack with the Chronomaton by itself unless he has another exalted creature, right?
Exactly.
I mean, he could easily have a trick in blue-white, Glorious Charge, Show of Valor, Unsummon, Divine Verdict, anything.
Right.
But
I'm also at 11. Like I can take it.
Yeah,
so he
can take
encrusts my Nighthawk, which is the worst. Super bummed about that one.
And that's really problematic now. If you don't hit a land, then the Chronomaton's just going to get out of control.
Right. Now he attacks with the Attended Knight. We don't have a block here, right?
No,
it's just first strike and we're just dead. So and our creature dies and that's it.
You could like you're at 8, right? You could consider playing the or blocking with the Duty Bound Dead.
Oh, just blocking with it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's contributing as much as you'd like now.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that I need to block right there, but I could. Now he plays a Sarah Avenger post combat, which is really pretty brutal.
Yeah. Oof.
So, and we draw an Augur of Bolas, and I just decide to play it because Tormented Soul I can play after. Yeah. So we play it.
Hope to hit something.
Then we hit the Brick Cities.
Goodbye land for your public.
That's right. Obviously. And we play this, and we don't actually have an attack either because we can't pump the Watercourser, right?
Nope.
So we just ship the turn back. Feeling pretty bummed out about it.
Pretty bad.
And I'm, of course, looking at the public execution. He plays
the Knight of... he redrew it.
It's the one that we shuffled, yeah.
Oh, that's just dead on board. Oh, no, sorry.
We're at 8. Yeah. So he's going to hit us for 5 here, though, and he's got us on a 1-turn clock all of a sudden. So now we're pretty desperate to rip a land, right?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were at 5 right there. I thought you took... I guess it was the first strike that I saw happen.
Yeah.
Of the Attended Knight. Okay, that's I see.
And so we draw an Essence Scatter, which does absolutely nothing in this spot. This is an interesting take on Essence Scatter as well, and it's one that kind of solidifies, I think, the stance that I've held on counterspells in Limited from really my beginning, which is that they're okay. Like they can do some stuff, but you just have to understand the downsides to them. And this is a classic downside to an Essence Scatter is that it does not reverse things that have already happened. Like if you have actual removal, then you can get yourself out of stuff. Essence Scatter doesn't count as that. A lot of people I see just throw them in your deck like it's just a great card, and it can do some stuff. Like I play them, obviously. I have 2 in this deck, but I also play them with the full understanding that sometimes this happens. And this is just the worst. Like any card in my deck would be better, any creature, anything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, on the bright side, the Tormented Soul didn't matter.
That doesn't really make me feel better about it. All right. And so then I'm just wait for him to go to his attack step, which he does, and then I concede. Okay, so I don't know if you have any sideboard here. I didn't board anything in.
Oh, you didn't put anything in?
No.
Oh, I think for sure the Hatchling and the Entrancer over there are both coming in.
Oh, I think you're insane.
At least the Knight of Glory, right?
Right, but remember, Knight of Glory plus any other Exalted and Kraken, Hatchling, and Entrancer are completely useless.
That's true, but I mean, the only other Exalted you saw was the rare land, right?
No, I guess he played that same thing twice.
Yeah,
you're right. But I mean, he's in blue-white. Like, I don't know. For me, like, I'm definitely not stoked on Kraken, Hatchling versus like any Exalted.
Sure, but I mean, he has all those ground dudes as well, the Attended Knights.
Only needs one, buddy. I wouldn't mind the Entrancer. What would you take out?
For the Entrancer,
like Ravenous Rats or something?
Oh yeah, I think Ravenous Rats is easily coming out.
Yeah, I think I took it out for the last game, but I don't think I did here. We'll see actually.
Oh, that tells me you went to game 3.
Oh. You're not supposed to be metagaming this.
Look at that.
You're supposed to take it at face value.
I mean, you lose next game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
O2 drop. I think I'm explaining why I didn't do that. All right.
Sure.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Whoa.
Easy,
Hello.
buddy. Easy, buddy. All right. So there's our opener. We're on the play.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like a super easy keep, right?
Easy, yeah.
1, 2, 3. It's actually just a really sick opener.
That is. Okay, so and now you're on the play, right?
And we're on the play. So we lead with Duty Bound Dead.
So now you're the one going to be the aggressor, unless he gets the
I mean, I thought it was going to be in game 1 as well, but he just like falconed me out like with the quickness.
Oh, that's a sick draw. Okay, now you have an option.
Now what do you like here?
Oh, man, the problem is we know he has that Knight of Glory.
Yeah, which can definitely get in the way.
Yeah, but I mean, you have the
It's
Void
not
Stalker. I think I'm just slamming the Void Stalker because I can get rid of it if he does have it.
See, that was exactly what my mentality was too. So
Yeah.
I bash in here and then I slam the Stalker. Because I figure I can also use the Essence. I mean, I'm gonna get value out of the Essence Scatter, but if I'm the aggressor here, I can have the Void Stalker in my pocket and just use that for anything like that he plays here that's just like super annoying.
Yeah. And he's blue-white, so O-Ring is like the only thing that you're really worried about.
Yeah, so he plays an
Like
Aven Squire.
switcheroo later, maybe.
And we've got
Ooh,
another
that's a
interesting
cool draw.
spot here. Yeah, so we draw the Crippling Blight, but in this case, I decide to play the Servant and just bash with Void Stalker because he doesn't have any blocks. Agree?
I agree there, because you can just get rid of the Aven Squire anytime.
Exactly.
It's nice to hold up the scatter there.
Yeah, to go Crippling Blight, leave up Scatter's pretty sweet, and I still get in for 3. But I think I really thought this one was pretty clear that I should actually just develop my board.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And you're getting in for 4 here, right? So
yeah,
like I think unless he plays something substantial here, he's gonna have to leave the Squire on. No, he's not gonna block with the Squire actually next turn. Probably lays down a Knight here, doesn't he? A Tended Knight.
that's what I was scared of.
Yeah. I mean, even that's not the worst.
It's not. This thing's still bigger, but it would trade off.
Yeah, you got the Crippling Blight actually to make that fine.
Right. So he does
so
play
he
the
did have
Knight
the Knight
of
of Glory.
Glory. Yes. And he bashes me for 3.
I agree with that. Ooh.
All right.
That's a saucy draw.
So what do you like here? Because now all of a sudden we can continue the plan of just building out our board with awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Or we can sit back a little bit.
I think I'm going to attacks first because if you're going to be using the Void Stalker to get rid of, or you're going to be using the Void Stalker to get rid of Knight of Glory anyway. So if he doesn't chump here, then you're getting free damage. If he does chump, then that was the whole game plan anyway, and you're not using 3 mana.
I don't know what you mean. Like I'm not using the Void Stalker soon though, and I can't use it after I attack.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying though. If you needed to use it,
I see.
If you needed to get rid of the Knight of Glory,
right. And I think that's a pretty easy attack.
Right?
Yeah,
Just
I did
get
the
in there.
same.
You're happy to trade.
Now this is a question.
Oh, I guess it wasn't a trade because your guys are 4-3.
Yeah. No, I just have like a free attack. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the question here though is, am I leaving up Essence Scatter or am I slamming the Spectre?
Well, he has Sarah Avenger, but that's not a worry since you have the Crippling Blight now. I think I'm just laying down the Spectre here.
I think so too. I mean, what am I really worried about that he's going to play on 4? There's just nothing because I have my Crippling Blight.
Yeah, well, I like Talrand's Invocation, but you can't counter that anyway.
Exactly. And even then, Crippling Blight still bones that because remember, this is going to be a 4/4 attacker.
Yep, Crippling Blight's looking pretty saucy.
It sure is. All right, so he's deciding what he wants to do here. He's got a free attack with his Knight of Glory on the ground if he wants to get in for damage, but then it won't be able to block, and I can come up with some different attacks with Servant of Nephrox.
Oh, yeah.
I think that...
I'll let you attack with the Servant and the Shimmy Inspector.
Well, I mean, the Knight's on the ground, so...
No, I'm saying if you attack the Knight with the Knight.
Oh, yeah, I could just swing it with everybody or whatever, but...
Yeah.
So he tanks it here a little bit, and... Yeah, and I'm not really, like, at this point, I'm just sort of like, well, let's just see what he does. But I'm actually hoping he attacks me with the Knight, because I'm clearly outracing him here, and if he thinks
Plus
he
you're
can
neutering
do
his
it,
hand, if anything. Oh, good, he is.
and he does bash me with the Knight. He takes me down to 13. It's a concern, but I feel like I'm in the driver's seat, and he does play the Sarah Avenger.
Hey, look at that.
All right, now, let's make things interesting. Okay, so, what do you do?
I think I pre-combat Blight the Avenger. Let's see.
So, I mean, I've got attacks here. Like, I've got a lot of... like, if I attack with just Shimmy Inspector, and he double blocks, then I can Void Stock something away and get him.
Sure, that's good too. Getting rid
Yep.
of the 2-for-1, right?
You're getting a 2-for-1 there. Or I can
Blight the Squire, I
blight the
guess.
Squire and just attack, or I can blight the Squire, void stock the Avenger, and attack with the Spectre and the Servant, and also get a Shimmy Inspector activation out of the way, and basically take away whatever his next play is for sure. Like taking the option away from him to chump.
Yeah, you have to consider unsummon though.
I do have to consider unsummon, which is a thing, but it doesn't really like. I mean, it kind of gets me, but like those things are still gone. So what do you like here? I hemmed and hawed on this one for a while.
You sat here and thought.
Oh yeah, I'm playing the thing right now, and I'm talking on the video and like trying to figure out what it is that I want to do here, because like I really went back and forth.
There are a lot of lines of play, and I don't know if I'd fault you for any of them, because they look like pretty good deals. I think. Let's see. You're outracing him currently.
Like not even close. And if I get rid of his dudes, then I'm really outracing him. But
yeah, plus he missed a land drop, right?
He did.
Yeah, so I think what you said actually might be okay. Doing the crippling blight on the Squire, attacking for
like he doesn't have actual blocks, so it's like pretty awkward for him.
Yeah,
but I do miss damage,
and you're hitting for Actually, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I think that gives us the best potential, because not only do you have the Essence Drain in your hand, so if you ever draw a land,
did you see what I did?
Dead in the air, right?
I went over to combat, and then I'm like, changed my mind, came back to it, and what I ended up deciding to do is put maximum pressure on him. I think that it's one of my if I figure out. Usually when I'm put in a position like this, I'll end up defaulting to the most aggressive action that I can take. I don't know if that's always correct, but I do. I void stock away the Sarah Avenger.
Sure.
And I take out and I crippling blight it. It feels a little bit all in to me, but he's taking 5. And remember, he's at 11.
You don't want to kill him the quickest. You want to...
Well, I think here I might. Like, here's the thing. I really want to make sure I get the Spectre hit in no matter what, and take away anything that he's going to do next, right? Like I can take away his other 3-drop, or I can take away his removal spell or his 4-drop that if he hits a land, and I put a big premium on that, and I don't know how good that is. So we see Aven Squire negate a tome, a guardian, and an invocation. So what do you like? What do you take here?
Let's see. Oh, I'm just slamming the invocation.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Need to get rid of that.
Yeah, I just got to get rid of it. I mean,
we
know that
he can any of those other cards.
No,
right
I mean
now.
he can play Aven Squire, which is like mildly annoying.
Sure, but it's just a chumper.
Anything. Well, it kind of is. I mean, we're battling with both, but yeah, it ends up being like not really that close. Just because if he peels an island and plays invocation, it's super annoying. So I take that. We do get to see the rest of his deck. Can you see it here?
Yeah, kinda.
Tended Knight, Battleflight Eagle, Chronometon, Divination, 2 Encrust, Fairy Invader, so that's of note. Phantasm randomly, double pacifism.
Double pacifism, that's nice.
Yeah, really good. And then the Sarah Avenger that I shuffled in, plus Entrancer, War Falcon, War Priest, and 2 Watercourser. So whatever, duly noted.
So he's just like super aggro. It looks like blue-white.
Yeah, he's just like a bunch of like good curve and cheap guys and that kind of thing. All right, so we get to see what he draws here, because like we know that like the best play that he can make minus his draw step is just the Aven Squire, which is like really unimpressive.
So he has the Squire, the Tome, the Negate.
He's also got the guy in the
Guardian.
ground. Yeah, the Guardian.
And then an Unknown.
Right.
Okay. And so if even if he draws a land here, we know that he doesn't have like a Divine Verdict or anything too.
Right.
Which is pretty sick.
Indeed. So what he's drawn, though, is a pretty sweet one with the Tended Knight, like obviously a good card.
Sure.
And he continues the Assault. He hits me for 3 to bring me to 10.
But now you just draw a land and win, yeah.
Yeah, so now I just draw a land, and I hit him in the air with the Spectre, and I see the victory pretty quickly here, and I finish him off with the Essence Drain.
That is all she wrote.
Yeah. And hilariously, I get a chance to look at that JM Day tome again and just kind of chuckle, because this is what I was talking about when I don't like that card. Like if I were him, I would have boarded it out.
It's a 12-mana divination. Ugh. Right.
And in a deck like, well, mine is able to put some amount of pressure on him. I mean, it's blue-black, but it's not like control, right? It's like definitely has some creatures that can get in there. And, he saw that both games. I mean, I curved out on him game 1. He just had a better curve. And in game 2, I just smashed him on the curve out.
Yeah.
And he but I don't know if he left it in the last game. I can't remember, but I think he didn't. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it does. It came back to that turn where he had the Squire and the Avenger, and you had
Yeah, I still don't
tons of
know if that's
options.
100% because I just don't think he chump blocks, but he might. Like that's kind of what I was thinking is that I think he might chump block.
I mean, I guess you got to consider what potential cards that he could have in his hand, right?
Yeah, I just feel like if I get a chance to just peel away whatever his next relevant spell is, I'm super stoked. All right, so I did bring in the guy, by the way. Did you see that?
Oh, with the Entrancer?
I brought in the Entrancer for the rats.
Okay, I agree.
All right, so now we're on the draw. What do you think about this for an opener?
Yeah, I like it.
It's okay, right?
It's not exciting, but
It's
I mean,
not
you have
exciting.
an Augur, which is gonna assumingly draw you an extra. Actually, that's not true. I don't remember how many spells you have in this deck, but
I think we have six targets for it. So mediocre to low, not super exciting, but about where you're normally at. I'm usually at 6 or 7.
You have the Welkin turn to block his War Falcon or whatever,
Right.
and Augur Bolus holds off most other things.
Yeah. So we insta-peel an Evolving Wilds, which is nice.
That's pretty good.
And I play that to go get a swamp.
I would assume you insta-draw Mutilate and be like, ugh.
Yeah. He's got Chronomaton here, and he also plays an Evolving Wild, so he's just probably going for the same thing.
Leveling it up.
Yeah. All right, so we draw Public Execution, which is kind of lame, but I play Welcome Turn. Do you agree, or would you Augur?
No, I agree. I think, right, you need to get the aggression on.
Yeah, because the next turn I have a couple of 3-drops I can play, and I can actually start beating down.
I mean, maybe if you had the Mutilate in your hand, you could go for the longer game, because, well, he has a negate, which is a little bit awkward.
Which is pretty awkward.
Yeah.
But also
I would agree
really
with Welcome Turn here.
All right, so he does pump up his Chronomaton, tick-tock, and...
Plus, I mean, you have the Harbor Bandit plus a Duty Bound Dead in your hand as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, which is a
you can
nice
easily get
clock.
hugely aggressive.
Yes. And the Welcome Turn will just sit there and peck away at his life total as well.
Right. Again, the double pacifism is a huge issue, but
yes, it is a massive issue. He decides to bash with Chronomaton on 2, which just tells me he's going to tap out here.
Play something, yeah.
Yeah. I usually like to try to get Chronomaton up to 3, but when you've got a 3-drop, that makes a lot of sense.
Especially when it's 3 power worth of 3-drop.
Exactly. Okay, so we draw a Ring of Zathrid. What do you like here?
Let's see. I guess the options are Duty Bound and Augur, or Slam the Harbor Bandit, or Duty Bound and
Water
Ring.
Courser, or Ring and Equip, or
I guess just the Water
Ring
Courser,
and Duty
but
Bound Dead.
That seems like the least optimal play.
Yeah, we've got a lot of options here, though. A lot. We can play any 2 cards in our hand, or any 1 3-drop, and just taking away the Public Execution, of course. But we can go Zathrid Duty Bound Dead, or Bolus Duty Bound Dead, or Bandit, or Courser.
Let's see. So you don't have another land in your hand. So if you play the Harbor Bandit and plan on attacking with it next turn, that'll eat up at least 2 lands. You could play the Duty Bound as well the following turn after playing the Bandit if you do it here.
Yeah.
Which is pretty aggressive, right?
It is. Now, one of the things that I'm thinking about here, and I want to know what your take on this is, so we know he has 2 pacifisms.
Yep.
So if we lead with our best creature, which is Harbor Bandit, and he just snap pacifies it, we're pretty bummed out.
I think...
Where the Water Courser actually holds down the fort just as well as the Harbor Bandit does, and he would, if he had a pacifism, I'm assuming he'd be really likely to play it on the Water Courser and bash us for 5. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with that, but putting a pacifism on the Water Courser and the Harbor Bandit are both kind of not as good for you, right? So
they're awful for
me.
me.
He does have the pacifism. You play the Water Courser here. He plays the pacifism next turn. Maybe plays another spell. Unlikely that he does. Bashes in for
5.
3 and pumps a Chronomaton, maybe.
Yeah, or just hits me for 5.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. You're still at 18 right now.
Yeah, and if this game goes a little bit longer, I'd much rather have the Harbor Bandit available, right? So
because he doesn't have Divine Verdict, right? Or he has 1.
I don't think he had 1.
Yeah, he just had the 2 pacifisms and 2 encrusts, right?
I think that was it. I think that was it. Also, the Ring of Zathrid becomes a factor later in the game if we have the Harbor Bandit, where on the Water Courser it's pretty mediocre.
That's very true.
So what do you like?
I think I still like running out the Harbor Bandit here.
Okay.
Um,
How come?
I want to do that plan where the following turn I want to play the Duty Bound Dead, and if need be, give the Harbor Bandit unblockable.
Okay.
Plus, if he pacifies it next turn, then you can play the uh, the Augur of Bolas and the Duty Bound and get in for 3 with the Flyer,
Mm-hmm.
which gets through all of his dudes.
Yeah. So I decided, I think, to go for the Water Courser, but it's interesting because I went for similar reasoning to what you said, except for that I put in that whole thing about, like, I really believe that the first thing I play here, if he has pacifism, he's
just snap
pacifying
doing it.
Yeah, and I'd much, much rather lose the Water Courser. And when you look at it, you can make the same play, right? If I go next turn Duty Bound Dead, attack with Water Courser, sure, he can chump, but it's a 3/4. Like, he doesn't have blocks, so it's getting in, for like, if I want to put a mana into it, as much damage. If not, I lose 1 damage less. But I think the 1 damage less is definitely worth it.
For having that available later.
Yeah, for baiting out a pacifism on the Courser instead of the Bandit. So that's, I think, what my thought process was.
Sure, but I guess he doesn't have the double blue for Encrust anyway.
I mean, if I have 2 mana to bump into Harbor Bandit to make it unblockable, I've got 1 mana to pump my Water Courser to make it the same size.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I see that line of play.
All right, so here I am thinking about it.
But you don't think Duty Bound plus Augur Bolas is even close to any of
I need
Courser
something,
or Bandit?
No, because I want to stabilize the board. Like, look at the board right now. He has no attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I have Augur and Duty Bound Dead, he does have attacks.
Sure,
They're not
he can
great.
get in for 2.
He can get in for 2. But,
And then you're not applying any pressure except for the Harbor Bandit.
Right, that's the problem, is that right now,
turn.
yeah, so Water Courser, assuming that it doesn't get pacified, stops his team and also can attack.
Ooh,
so we
that's
get
gross.
Invocated here, which is, like, very brutal. And he doesn't attack. So we're pretty happy with this.
Mm-hmm.
And we draw an Essence Drain. So the mana situation is starting to get a little intense, although we do still have plays.
Yes, which is nice, but
yeah. So what is your line here?
Let's see. The Welkin turn can effectively chump one of the.
Well, it trades
the Drake, so I guess
it doesn't chump. It trades.
Or sorry, that's what I meant. Trades.
Yeah.
So I guess we're not under too much pressure unless he can get rid of the turn.
Right.
He showed us that he's not going to... Well, if he had the pacifism, he still wouldn't have played it last turn. He definitely just would have Talransed again.
Yeah. And then just blow us out with pacifism on this turn.
I almost like playing the Augur and the Duty Bound here.
How come?
It digs you deeper to the spells that are going to take over we have the Mutilate, right? I mean, I guess you already have the Essence Drain and the Public Execution in your hand.
Yeah, we just need
you don't even have the
lands.
second Swamp anyway.
Right. Like, we're at least 2 draw steps away from making Mutilate a thing. I ended up playing out the Harbor Bandit because it's just beefier on the ground. Like, I just figured, like, it blocked better. So if he did pacify, I could still have a blocker. Where if he pacified Water Courser and I had Augur and Duty Bound Dead, I'd only have Augur to block, and he still gets to just swing out and bash me pretty good.
Just the 2 damage or whatever.
Yeah. So I felt like this like I was hedging against pacifism. So that's why I did that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just reevaluating our position of being the aggressor here.
Yeah, and I don't think we are currently. Although I think playing a Harbor Bandit helps. Like, it gives us attacks at some point.
Oh,
right?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I do pass a turn back with the Welkin turn because, like, I don't think that we're the aggressor, and I want to trade off. Like,
as soon as possible, even though it's not a good, carded economy-wise. But.
Right. I'm really bummed to have to do it. But, one of the things that I'm looking at here, my mentality, my approach at this point in the thing, and I want to hear what you think, is I feel like if I can hit lands, then I have a really good chance to win the game. I think Public Execution, I can blow him out really hard with that. I think Essence Drain is going to help keep my life total up because I know I'm going to take a bit of a beating here, at least from some Drakes or something. And then I feel like I can use Duty Bound Dead to put a really big clock on him with the Harbor Bandit plus Ring.
I agree. As long as you can survive to the late game and you hit your lands,
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too, which is why I didn't attack with a turn.
And we know Essence Drain kills everything in his deck but what? The Vidalcan Entrancer?
And the pro Black Knight.
Oh, sorry. That's right.
Yeah.
The Knight of Glory.
But I mean, we don't see that yet, and so it's pretty good. So he bashes with both Drakes, and I do take the trade. I'm sad. Yeah, it sucks, but I just insta did it. That was the plan, obviously.
Yeah.
Now I'm at 16, and he's got the one guy that can get in, and I'm actually looking okay here.
No, you're super healthy even though you don't have as much land.
Right. Now he does play a War Falcon out, and he's got the Knight and the Soldier, so that thing is now a beater, which is very annoying. And we draw a Silent Blood. If I could cast it, I would be pretty happy to further my card development. But as it stands, the only choice I have is Augur of Bolas plus Duty Bound Dead,
plus the Duty Bound, yeah,
or Ring plus Duty
Bound
Dead. And I decided to go with the Augur just to keep developing my creature base here. And I hit nothing, which isn't too shocking. I mean, the deck, like I said, isn't like set up to, I mean, in a limited deck, what are you going to have 10 spells? Like, that's just not how M13 works. Now I got to decide if I want to attack here. Do you like any attacks here?
Let's see. The Chronomaton's a 2/2 right now before he pumps it.
Yes.
No, I hate all attacks.
Let's see if I agree with you.
At the very best, it's a 1-for-1. I guess you're going through the lines of play right now.
Yeah, because since it's like instructionally, whatever. I'm talk a lot about it. So, see if I can fast forward a little bit here. So I do attack with my Bandit.
Whoa! Wow, if I were him, I'd snap block with the Chronomaton and the Attendant Knight.
Yeah, and the funny part is that after I attacked, I realized that, and then for some reason he just didn't block and he just added the thing. He just took it.
Wow!
So I just basically luck-sacked it because, like, I think I just overlooked that he could 1-for-1 with Chronomaton, and I would not have taken that trade if you would have told me that. But I was just like, well, I will trade my Harbor Bandit for any two of these guys, right? Like any two of these 2-power guys. Like if he trades like the Falcon and the Chronomaton,
yeah, sure,
and the Knight,
that's fine.
Yeah, and then I'm like, wait, but then he just snap added it, so I got super lucky.
You got lucky, he didn't block. That's all I have to say.
I got very lucky.
Because if I were him, just
and I'm actually saying that on the video right now too. So.
Plus, especially since you tapped out, right? It's like, ooh.
Yeah. Now he finds a pretty reasonable attack here. He decides not to attack with his Chronomaton, even though he should potentially. I mean, I was just pointing out that I can double block and I trade my Water Courser for his Chronomaton.
This is like the reverse position of last turn where you attacked with the Harbor Bandit. Well, if he attacks with the Chronomaton.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he saw it. Yeah. Anyway, so he decides just to attack with the Flyers, and I take 4 in the air.
Ow.
So yeah, which is like, that's going to hit me real. I'm on 12 here, and I don't have any way to get in the way of those Flyers. So 3-turn clock, I got to make something happen pretty quickly here. And he plays DM Daytome, which I'm actually just pretty happy about.
Ooh.
Laysai.
On the bright side, if you ever draw a swamp.
Yeah, I kill every creature he has except for Chronomaton.
And you save 3 of yours?
Right.
That's gross.
It's just insane.
Yeah. Oh, so you play the ring here, right? And you equip it. I think I might even equip it to Duty Bound Dead.
Would you? I decided to equip it to the Harbor Bandit.
Which is fine, but I mean, if like with the Mutilate, that saves all your creatures.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Although, if I lose the Duty Bound Dead in the Mutilate transaction, I think I'm like not super sad about that.
Oh, no. You're still very satisfied with what happened.
Right. Now he ticks up his Chronomaton. It's a 4/4 now. Yeah, but now I'm just like, okay, baby, give me the swamp the 1 times. Because now my hand looks just disgustingly awesome.
Yeah, just 1 swamp and ugh.
Yep. So he bashes me.
Yeah, I mean, can't do anything about it.
Nope. So no play to make here. He's got an active book.
Most of his guys are really dirtily, though.
Very
I was
much
going to say,
so.
why did he play that post-combat? But hopefully he just plays like another X2. Oh, I guess he's just toming.
He's just toming, yeah. And because he can tome and tick up Chronomaton.
Oh,
and now
God, it's so gross.
Nighthawk. And I look at the board, and I just don't have much going on, so I decide I think just to bash him with my Harbor Bandit, because I don't think he really has any attacks still.
Yeah. You make it unblockable first, right?
I think I just attack and then make it unblockable or whatever, but yeah.
Sure. Well,
I do make it unblockable.
He can't block it.
Right, I do that. That is a thing that I do.
I approve of this play, at least.
Yep. All right,
Because you know he doesn't have Divine Verdict.
Right. He adds a counter, and he just takes the 5, and I drop him to 9. Now, I'm actually getting kind of in range here. Like, I'm going to take a hit, but I'm going to hit him for 6 next turn, right? Like,
If
he's
you do it
gonna be at
unblockable,
3.
yeah. And
If
if
I
he
do it
doesn't block,
unblockable.
ooh, man, if you draw, oh, sorry, you're not. Never mind. You can't Essence Drain next turn.
Right.
Awkward.
Now, I didn't move the ring over. I thought about it, but I thought I was going to attack with the bandit again either way, so I decided to leave it there. It would make my duty bound dead a 1/3 on my upkeep, but it just doesn't really change much. And frankly, I thought I was just going to jump
swamp, right? It saves it from mutilate again.
Yeah, I don't think that's as important as getting the biggest harbor bandit.
Sure, yeah, because then it's a 2-turn clock instead of 3.
Right, because like let's say I draw Crippling Blight, then I take out the War Falcon. All right, so he's
sure, and then you're winning that race.
Right now he ships with Chronomaton, and I think I send the Bolus in front of it.
No, you're not, because he has the Exalted Cathedral of War.
Yeah, so that's only 3, right? I'm at 4. If he just hits me with these 2, I go to 4. He hits me for 3 back. If I draw Crippling Blight,
I'm saying after this attack, you're still on a 2-turner.
Yeah, but I bring him to 3 here, and then the next turn I kill him.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. So, but that would mean I'd have to get lucky. But that's what I'm playing for here, obviously. I decided to put the Augur in front. I don't know why. I mean, my plan was to draw the Mutilate or draw the Swamp. So, like, probably better just to chump with the Duty Bound Dead. I think my thought is just like, if something happens, then I'd rather have the Duty Bound Dead. But ultimately, I think I should have just blocked with the Duty Bound Dead there.
Yeah, I think you absolutely should have.
Yeah.
I think the game plan is just slam Mutilate if you draw Swamp.
Right.
Again, we know he has the double pacifism, so oh god.
Watch this.
Oh, yes. Has to be a Swamp.
So this is like this is the one time.
Oh, what?
And I draw my Shimmy Inspector. Now I go through the motions of talking, and I do end up attacking him down to 3, but then we lose.
Oh.
And that was it. Now, but basically, I wanted to take you in to go over the line on this because these games were pretty close. Like, I mean, I clearly made some mistakes in the other game and, like not playing out my Tormented Soul and that kind of stuff, which I consider a pretty big mistake. I made some smaller mistakes throughout it as well. And I made a couple of mistakes that I wasn't punished for, right? Yeah. I got lucky because my opponent didn't take advantage of the opportunity that I gave him. But I wasn't like super happy with how I played this thing. I thought it was okay. Like I liked some of my decisions that were pretty tough to make, but I also, felt like I played a little loose on some of them, and I just wanted to go over it with you. And it looks like we're on the same page on most of it.
Yeah, I don't really see you winning this game.
I mean, if I hit a swamp here, like I guarantee
anyway,
win,
so
right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 2.
Jeez,
would take that, and especially with his hand.
Too. That's right.
Especially with his hand, right? Like,
man, that would be so gross.
How do I lose from that position? So disgusting. Anyway,
the only thing I can think of is playing like the Augur earlier instead of like the Harbor Band or something, just to hit or had you hit the Mutilate or something, he would have been less likely to lay out his hand.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that doesn't he still just play out?
He's still
two
Talrand,
flyers,
which is still terrible for you.
Yeah, he's still Talrand. He probably still War Falcons. He would hold these 2 guys back, which is bad for me.
I don't. Yeah, man. It was just a rough game.
It was just a rough game. I mean, I think that, ultimately I got stuck on mana, but I mean, like, I think one of the keys here, when you do look back at the game here, though, is that, like, as you'll see here before I concede, I do decide just to attack. I think it was just because I was still talking, but I get him to 3. Right? Like, I felt like I was behind every single step of this entire game.
Oh, sure.
I got stuck on mana. I wasn't able to resolve a lot of my good spells. I drew literally all my double black in a row. Just Sign of Blood, Mutilate, Vampire, Nahak, Shimmy Inspector when all I need is a swamp.
Runner.
Right. And even with all of that, though, I get him to 3 here. Like, I think that that's like a pretty important distinction to make. While it doesn't really matter because, 3 isn't 0. But, like, being behind the entire game and getting him to this point is like pretty sweet, like that's like a thing where it's like, if a little bit breaks my way, I might've been able to kill him.
I think though, in this case, 3 is the same as 10. Like if anything, or if it breaks a little bit your way, I think you're going to win in that position no matter what.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, like an example, like 3, if it's 2, then I Sign in Blood and kill him,
Sure,
if I hit a land, right? So it's just like the important part here is that I was chipping away at his life total, even though I felt behind the entire time.
Oh, yeah, you didn't just give up and leave your guys back because you thought it was irrelevant.
Right, because and a lot of people, I've had tons of people, hey, look at this, what should I do here? And it's just like, well, have you been attacking with that? No. Why? Well, I was scared or whatever. And, I think that, like, it's a key here just to show that, like, look, we were way behind this whole game. We still got him down pretty low. Again, yeah, as far as, like, actual Magic goes, doesn't really matter. But, like, I think it's just worth noting.
Yeah, that, don't give up, keep playing to your outs.
Exactly. And, we didn't happen to hit the land that we needed, but, as it goes sometimes. But I mean, yeah, I think we put ourselves in like the best position that we could there.
Yeah, for sure.
We also got lucky that he took that 4. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Kenji. I appreciate you taking the time as always and going over this with me. I think that this is something I recommend to everybody. If you've got a friend that can do this, record your draft. Like, you can do it in the replays on MTGO, but like sometimes those are not that great. Just use a screen cap app. Everybody uses these for streaming and whatnot, to just record your draft and just have your buddy come over, bring your laptop to his house, whatever it is that you use, and say, let's go over this game. Now, I encourage you to be open as well. Like, I think, when Kenji and I were going over it, I was telling him my reasoning for it, and I think we had some interesting discussions, right? Like, do I play the Watercourser first, or do I play the Harbor Bandit? You decided on the Harbor Bandit. I think the Watercourser was a better play, but I got your input on it. Yeah. There were some other plays that you're like, I would have done it this way, and I'm like, yeah, that is definitely better, and I made a mistake, right? And I think that since you and I are friends, we can have this discourse and it works.
And the learning goes both ways too. It's not like one person's, teaching somebody else. Like, I gain valuable input on why you might do something other than the other play that I would have made.
Exactly. And I think that, one of the big things is being able to leave your ego aside, right? Like, being able to say, look, I have something I can learn from this person, right? Even though it's like, I know he might be your friend, like, you're my friend, I want to beat you, I want to be better than you, blah, blah, blah. But man, like, if you want to get better, you just got to be able to set that aside. So, all right, Kenji, where can people find your stream and find you?
They can find me online on Twitter. They can also find me on YouTube. These are both under Numat the Nummy. I also stream on twitch.tv. Again, search me under Numat the Nummy. I don't know why I stuck up with that name, but I have, and it's...
You certainly have.
Yeah, I've grown to love it, I guess.
I mean, it's kind of cool, but it is hard to convey, like, on social media. It's NUMOTTHENUMMY, right?
Yeah, yep, exactly. The double T always gets people.
Nummy. You're weird.
Yeah,
but I highly recommend checking out Kenji's stream. He does basically exclusively limited on Magic Online, drafts, sealeds, and he's a true grinder on there. And I highly recommend checking it out if you wanna have some entertainment and get better at Magic at the same time. Okay, Kenji, thanks again for coming on, and guys, we're gonna see you next week.